Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here, and today you're investigating the disappearance of Professor Daffle, the world's leading researcher of cryptozoology, as you travel down to the legendary locations like the Himalayas and Roswell, New Mexico. And you're also in constant peril of getting lost in the Bermuda Triangle. Now, you're trying to find the creature responsible, the location of Daffle's disappearance, and the incident that was involved. Rumors and Legends is a fun-filled mystery deduction board game for 2 to 6 players. It takes 30 to 60 minutes to play, is for ages 10 and up, and published by Bigabot Games. Now it's on Kickstarter right now, so I'm going to show you how it works, and I'll see you on the other side. This is a Kickstarter preview, so all the art and components you see here are not final. Check the Kickstarter link in the description of this video to see all the final art and components. At the beginning of the game, each player gets to select one of these 6 different characters. And on the inside of this, it's going to help you with some of the things that you'll be doing throughout the game, but it's also a place to hide your deduction sheet, because over the course of the game, you're trying to be the first one to figure out how Professor Daffle disappeared, with 3 key things: the legend, the location, and the incident. So at the beginning of the game, you're going to take each of those sections, for example, the locations, and you're going to shuffle these up, and you'll secretly place one of these in the top secret envelope. That's going to be the secret location that will help you figure out how Daffle disappeared. You'll also be doing the same for the different types of incidences that may have caused it. And finally, you'll be doing it for the different creatures or legends that had something to do with the disappearance. Then once you have the envelope full of one of each of those 3 different types, you'll shuffle all of the rest of the cards together, and you'll deal out a certain amount of those to each player secretly, depending on the amount of players. For example, in a 6-player game, each player would get 2 cards, and you'd secretly look at them and secretly mark down on your deduction sheet that you have them. This is me, this is the portal symbol for me, this is going to be my miniature on the board of the creature, and I'll mark down that it's not going to be Himalayas and the volcanoes, because it's only one of each card. If you've seen it, then it's not one in the secret envelope, which is the solution you're trying to get to. And in some player accounts, there'll be some leftover cards that get flipped up so everyone can see them. And now everyone will mark these down on their sheets as well. So at the beginning of the game, I already know that it's not Sasquatch, not Giza, not the Himalayas, and not the volcano. So here's the board set up. There's all different areas as the different locations, and each of the players has a miniature associated with them. We are associated with Nessie over here, and that's going to be how we sort of move around. You're going to be moving around the board, going through different portals, and going to different areas, and trying to figure out slowly which of the things that you see are not in the envelope. Now on your turn, you're going to roll the dice, and depending on the combination of these 2 dice, you'll do different things, and this is on your player aid. For example, this shows us this and this, so we can draw a rumor card and we can move. Now when we draw this card, certain things might happen. It might be a card that we just hold and we play something at the right time, or it might just say, hey, pick a player to reveal one incident card to use secretly. Okay, so let's say we pick this player, we say, you must show me an incident if you've got one. And they secretly show it to us, and we go, oh great, we know it's not the black hole, for example. We've just learned a bit of information. Then we'd be able to move up to 3 hexes. Now let's say we wanted to get into the lost city of Atlantis. We can move up to 3 hexes. This is us, this is where we start. We could go 1, 2, and 3. You can move through people, but you can't end your movement on there. And we are now in the lost city of Atlantis. Now anytime you move to a location, you're able to make a hypothesis, choosing a creature, incident, and the current location. So let's say we kind of wanted to learn maybe about the Kraken of a mummy, but maybe the player that is the Yeti figure, maybe they're about to go do something and they're going to get some information, or we want to kind of stop them because we think they're in the lead. We could select that one, the Yeti, and we would move them from wherever they're at. Right now it's just right here, but it could have been later in the game. They could have been like somewhere over here. You just move them to this location because we're going to be having a hypothesis about the Yeti in the lost city of Atlantis, and we get to pick an incident, let's say explosion. And you also place that incident token there just so it's easy for people to see what you're asking about. So the player to my left has to look through the cards that they have in their hands. Remember, everyone has some of these legend cards. And we say, well, we have Yeti, we have the Lost City of Atlantis, and we have Explosion. Do you have any of those cards? If you do, you have to show me one of your choice. Now, if that player is sitting to my left, let's just say it was this person here. Let's say they showed me the explosion. Well, now I know that this player showed me that, so I know that they have that card, and then that would essentially, because the way I rolled the dice, that would be the end of my turn. If they did not have one, they'd say they don't have any. It would go to the next player to their left, and you keep doing this until one player has at least showed you one, or it gets all the way around and nobody showed you one. Then you know that one of those things, or maybe all of them, are in this secret envelope, or maybe you were bluffing because maybe you said one of yours because you wanted to throw people off the trail. Then it would be the next player's turn, but let's go over the different things that might happen. For example, sometimes you might end up moving a door. Now you might take this door and you might put it here. This way this stops someone from entering. It has to be on an open space. But it also stops people from even going past the door in any direction. Now, speaking about not being able to move past doors, about movement, on your next turn, if you're in a location, you must come out of there, and you can't just go back in on the same turn and ask about the same thing. Also, doors cannot be placed on portals, and this is important because a player might go to a portal, and you see that location, you go through that portal, and you would go to the location with that icon. It's just a fast way to move to different locations around the board. So as you can see, the different combination of dice is typically having you move, drawing rumor cards, moving doors, maybe sometimes doing things twice, and sometimes you'll end up having to go to like the Bermuda Triangle, for example. Now when you're sent to the Bermuda Triangle, you go there and you end your turn immediately. But at the beginning of your next turn, you're starting there, and if you happen to be starting and you're in the Bermuda Triangle, then you can either return to your portal and roll the dice, which is your home portal, or you can choose to state your theory and try to win the game. This is if you think you have the top secret envelope figured out. Now, you can also state your theory if you know what it is, and for your turn, you move directly to the Bermuda Triangle instead of rolling the dice, and then from there you can state your theory like this. So when you state your theory, you theorize one of the creature legends, one location, one incident. You look at the envelope here to see if you're correct. If you are, you win the game. If you're not, you put the cards back in here without showing anybody, and you're done for the game. You won't be taking any turns, but you will be showing players cards if they ask about certain things that you know about. So if you're wrong, you can't win the game, so it's a high stakes thing there. There are some rumor cards, like I talked about earlier, that allow you to hold it, but some of them will let you do things with the Bermuda Triangle, like you could block having to move to the Bermuda Triangle. So that you didn't want to do that, you didn't know it, you didn't want to essentially have to lose a turn by going there, you could play that card then. Or maybe you have this here to remove any one door from the board right at the right time. That is how the basic game is played, but there are some advanced variants. Now you can play with a clock, which gives the game a certain amount of turns to figure it out, gives it more tension, makes it a little harder. For example, in 3 players, you'd start here, and in a 6-player game, you'd start here, and after one full round of the game, this increments 1. Now when it gets to 12, it's the last round of the game. And at the end of each player's turn, they're sent to the Bermuda Triangle where they're trying to solve the solution. And if they don't, obviously they don't win, but it's possible that no players win in this case. You can use some random blue passport cards, which gives everybody an ability that they can use. For example, once per game, you may re-roll your dice roll. Now when you get one of these, you place it face up, everyone can see what it is, and you can use it once, in this case like once per game. You may move up to 3 spaces, or maybe it's once per game, you may take an extra turn. Or you could play with the red assigned cards, which are assigned to a specific player. For example, if you're the detective with your origin, that's the Loch Ness in Scotland, then you once per game, you may re-roll your dice. So these are similar to the other ones, but they're given to a specific person depending on which character you are. Now you can play with the Bermuda Triangle card, and you can play with this in 2 ways. One is you can shuffle it into the legend deck before you make the top secret deck, meaning that the Bermuda Triangle might be the secret location. In order to know for sure that it's there, you'd need to see all the other locations in the game to rule it out. Or you can set this envelope up before you put the Bermuda Triangle and shuffle it in here. That means this is guaranteed to be in somebody's hand as one of their sort of starting cards that they're dealt. Then, when a player asks you about a certain something, you can reveal the Bermuda Triangle card instead of showing them something, and this is basically, it's a one-time use. It goes in front of you like that. Now, optionally, the player asking for the card to be revealed could be sent to the Bermuda Triangle and ending their turn if you want to. Now, this is important because it's critical of the timing, and it can be very valuable near the end of the game if multiple players are looking to make their theory. You can also play with revolving doors, and at the beginning of the game you roll this portal die and it shows you which portals that they are blocking, and at the end of each round, once all players have played, you roll the die twice and you place those doors in those portals. Now if you end up with duplicates for the 2 doors, you end up re-rolling, and if it ends up going, if a portal is blocked, then that door spot would just go off the board in its normal door spot where it started. And those are all the ways to play Rumors and Legends. Well, there you have Rumors and Legends, and as I showed in the overview, you're trying to be the fastest to deduce the puzzle of that game. Now, if you'd like to see the final art and components and all the different pledge levels available, you can click the link below me right in the description of this video. Now, that's going to take you directly to the Kickstarter project page, and I'm sure that Bigabot Games would love your support.